Today we're going to be talking about biological basis and sensation, which help us understand human behavior and mental processes. First up is nature versus nurture. This is about how our genetic predisposition, our nature, influence our physical, behavioral, and mental traits and processes, and whether our external factors, nurture, that we experience play a more important role in shaping us to who we become today. However, both are connected and interconnect and influence our daily actions every day.
Next is genetics and evolution. Our genetics deal with our heredity and it begins at conception. Things like DNA and chromosomes predispose us to specific traits and behaviors. The evolutionary perspective deals with the concept of natural selection to increase survival and reproductive success. This perspective helps explain why we behave the way we do today.
Continuing on, we have the brain. The brain has three main functions: to absorb information, interpret information, and control motor behavior. Now we're going into brain organization. The first section of the brain is the central core, aka the reptilian brain. The brain stem that is located in the central core links the higher brain with the rest of the body, while the medulla controls heartbeat and breathing.
Oh my god, what happened?
Her medulla stopped working, so her heartbeat and breathing stopped. Reticular formation controls your arousal whether you're awake or asleep.
3. Wake up, wake up! Now she's aroused.
The last thing located in the central core is the cerebellum, which controls your balance and your movement. However, you are unaware of all the functions that are located in your central core. The next section of the brain is the limbic system, aka the mammalian brain, and it contains the amygdala, which deals with aggression and fear.
3. Three.
Also located in your limbic system is your hypothalamus, which is located below the thalamus, and it's the pleasure center of your brain. The hippocampus also helps you process your memories. The next section is the cerebral cortex, aka the cerebral cord. It has the frontal lobe, which helps you with your planning, judgment, flexibility, personality, and speech.
Young lady, you're grounded. Go to your room.
But Mom, my frontal lobe is not fully formed yet. I can't control my decision making. Also in the cerebral cortex is your occipital lobe, which helps deal with your vision.
2, 1. I can't see. That's your occipital lobe not working. It means you need glasses.
The parietal lobe deals with temperature, pressure, and pain.
Don't let go. No! That's her parietal lobe. It deals with pain, pressure, and temperature.
Your temporal lobe helps deal with your auditory and your linguistics. And lastly, the major and minor hemispheres. The left hemisphere is the left, so it helps control your language and your logic, while the right hemisphere is just your nonverbal skills, like symbols and drawings. And the way those two are connected and can communicate with each other is through the corpus callosum, which helps with your daily interactions.
We have the nervous system, which contains the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord, while the peripheral nervous system contains the somatic nervous system, which is for voluntary movement, and autonomic. And the autonomic nervous system is for all involuntary functions. The autonomic has the sympathetic, which is fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, which is to calm you down. And the nervous system also contains motor neurons, which helps you to move your muscles and to have motor movement.
3.
Wow, someone's motor neurons are working well.
It also contains sensory neurons, which transmit sensory information.
Moving on to neurotransmitters, there are two kinds of neurotransmitters, excitatory and inhibitory. The excitatory are norepinephrine, which deals with alert and arousal, glutamate, which deals with memory, and substance P, which deals with transmission of pain. The inhibitory are GABA, which is just known as a major inhibitory neurotransmitter, and serotonin, which deals with mood, hunger, and sleep. The ones that are both excitatory and inhibitory are acetylcholine, which deals with learning and memory, and dopamine, which deals with emotion and pleasure.
2, 1.
Somebody's high on dopamine.
Next up is the endocrine system. The endocrine system secretes hormones that travel longer distances than neurotransmitters, but they are slower than neurotransmitters. One of the major glands is the pituitary gland, which works with the hypothalamus to allow the endocrine and nervous system to work together. The hormones that the endocrine system secretes are adrenaline for fight or flight, leptin to suppress your appetite.
2, 1.
I'm so full now.
Oh, that's your leptin telling you to stop eating.
Ghrelin to make you feel hungry.
2, 1.
I'm so hungry.
Oh, that's the hunger hormone in your stomach growing. You should probably eat your sandwich.
You're right.
Melatonin to help you sleep, and oxytocin as the love hormone.
Then there's psychoactive drugs. One type of these are sedatives, and they decrease your activity levels. Some examples of those are alcohol, barbiturates, benzodiazepines, and intoxication. Stimulants are the other type of those, and they actually increase activity levels. So one example of that would be caffeine.
1.
I think that stimulus really getting to her.
Lastly, there's hallucinogens, which produce alterations in perception. Some examples of these are marijuana, THC, LSD, and mescaline. A type of medication known as antipsychotics are used to treat people with psychosis in schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression, and Alzheimer's disease. Opioids are also used as a pain medication and are related to psychoactive drugs. And then we have addiction. Addiction causes you to have psychological dependence and physical dependence because you've trained your body to require the drugs. This is dangerous as it can cause withdrawal symptoms following the cessation of a drug. And if you have a high tolerance, it can cause you to increase dosages of a drug.
Next, we have resting potential, which is the energy waiting to be released. It is not sending information, just electrical impulses and energy. The semi-permeable membranes allow some ions to pass through back and forth. There are differences in the charge between inside and outside of the cell. Opposite charges attract, so the positive ions want to cross to the inside of the cell, but can't or need assistance doing so. One of the ions involved is sodium. Sodium is positively charged, and there are more on the outside of the cell than the inside, and they aren't able to pass through the membrane easily. Potassium is another ion. It is able to cross back and forth between the membrane easily and through the ion pumps. Lastly, we have proteins. There are negatively charged ions located in the inside of the cell, causing the positively charged sodium ions on the outside of the membrane to be attracted to it.
Next up, we have action potential. The action potential means that the membrane can break down once the threshold is reached. Once the threshold is reached, the sodium ions rush inside the membrane, causing electrochemical energy to travel down the membrane and the axon. One concept found within this topic is the all or nothing response, where the threshold is the firing point, so it doesn't matter how much there is, the intensity and speed will be the same either if it fires or it doesn't. The next concept found within this is depolarization, where the neuron is getting back to normal after an all or nothing response. Last concept is action potential. This is the refractory period where the neuron cannot fire until it is stabilized.
Next, we have brain monitoring. In order to monitor the brain, we simply cannot look at it from the outside, so we need sophisticated machines to see all the action that is actually going on inside. First, we have the EEG. The EEG traces brainwaves through the little small disc electrodes that are placed on the surface of your skull. The type of brainwaves traced are alpha waves, beta waves, and delta waves. Alpha shows when you're awake and relaxed, beta shows when you are awake and alert, and delta shows when you are in a deep sleep. Next, we have the fMRI. The fMRI detects changes associated with blood flow, so the blood will be more concentrated in the part of the brain that is being used. Finally, there are case studies that can help us better understand how parts of the brain function and how they can work together. However, there is also lesioning, which are small incisions in the brain that also show what happens to a person if a certain part of their brain is damaged or removed.
Moving on to how your body works when you sleep and dream. Everyone has a circadian rhythm, which is an internal process that regulates your sleep-wake cycle every 24 hours. Things that can disrupt or mess up your rhythm is jet lag when you are traveling across different time zones, or shift work at your job, working during the hours of 6 p.m. to 7 a.m., for example.
There are 3 stages of sleep for non-REM, non-rapid eye movement stage. Stage N1, N2, and N3. Stage N1 occurs right after you fall asleep, and it is a light sleep, so you can be awakened very easily.
Dayana, teacher's watching. She must have been in N1 sleep. It was really easy to wake her up.
Then there is REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. In REM sleep, your heart rate is up, your blood pressure is up, and there is rapid eye movement. This stage is also where your dreaming happens.
Dream theories explain why we dream. In dream theory, we have activation synthesis and consolidation theory. Activation synthesis is where the dream is the cerebral cortex processing nerve impulses being sent from the body to the brainstem into something that makes sense. Consolidation theory is following the encoding, recently formed memory traces are gradually stabilized and reorganized into a more permanent form of long-term memory.
Oh my god, I had a dream that I was flying.
Well, according to Freud's dream theory, that's just a sign that some aspect of your life is holding you back and you feel like you need freedom and independence.
Sleep disorders can disrupt physical and cognitive functioning. Insomnia is the long-term inability to sleep due to frequent awakening and early awakening. Sleepwalking is the performing complex behaviors during sleep, which means you must take safety precautions and lock doors and windows and put gates on stairs.
What time is it? 3:11. Oh, I hate my insomnia.
Narcolepsy is the sudden, irresistible onset of sleep during normal daytime hours. It is treated with drugs and restricted activities.
What are you going to wear to prom? Oh no, don't worry, that's just one of her narcoleptic episodes.
Sleep apnea is interrupted sleep due to cessation of breathing because of the blockage of the airway. However, a CPAP machine can relieve this and help with sleep, although it can be loud.
Oh my god, Dayana, are you awake? That must just be your sleep apnea.
REM sleep behavior disorder is a parasomnia, which is dream enactment behavior that results from not getting REM sleep. There is no cure for this. In order to prevent or counteract any of these disorders, keep a regular sleep schedule, a bedtime ritual, and wake up and go to sleep at the same time every day.
Next, we will be discussing sensation. The basic definition of sensation is detecting information from the environment that meets certain threshold stimuli into neurochemical messages for processing, aka perception. First up, we have thresholds. And in order to understand thresholds, you need to know that a stimulus is any form of energy capable of exciting the nervous system. Absolute thresholds is the minimum amount of stimulation needed for a person to detect the stimulus at least 50% of the time. For light, the absolute threshold is a lit candle 30 miles away from a clear dark night. For smell, the absolute threshold is 1 drop of perfume in a 3-room apartment. For sound, the absolute threshold is a tick of a watch from 20 feet away. For taste, the absolute threshold is 1 tablespoon of sugar and 2 gallons of water. For touch, the absolute threshold is a wing of a fly dropped into the cheek from 1 centimeter. Then we have just noticeable difference, which is the minimum required difference between 2 stimuli for a person to notice change 50% of the time. According to Weber's law, the just noticeable difference is a constant proportion of the original stimulus, so a mathematical formula is used to identify the amount of change necessary to detect the difference change. Continuing on. Sensory interaction is referred to as parallel processing, which is when sensory systems work together to help us complete daily tasks.
Taste just how it smells.
That's what we call sensory interaction. This leads us to synesthesia, which is a neuropsychological condition in which the stimulation of one sense triggers the involuntary trigger of another sense.
Whoa, what is that? This is what I see in my head when I listen to this song. It's my auditory to visual synesthesia.
Next, we have visual sense. This means to detect light that is traveling in waves. There are 6 main components of the human eye that work together to create visual sense. There is the cornea, that is a transparent outer covering of the lens, and iris that allows light to enter the eye. Next, we have the iris, which is the colored ring around the eye. Then there's a pupil, which is an opening in the iris that has the capacity to change size and control the amount of light that is let into the eye. Next, we have the lens, which is a transparent structure that bends the entering of light so it falls directly on the retina. It also changes shape for near and far focus. There is also the retina, which is a thin piece of tissue in the back of the eye that is made of over 115 million specialized nerve cells. Then there are rods in the retina that transduce the light into neural impulses sent to the brain and are used for peripheral vision. Then there are cones that transduce light into neural impulses sent to the brain, which are used to detect color. There is also the fovea, which is a small indentation in the center of the retina directly opposite of the pupil, and the best vision is located in this spot. Next, then there's color blindness. On average, around 1 in 50 people experience color vision issues. There is monochronism, which is a person seeing no color, only black and white. This is very rare. Most color problems consist of mixing up colors such as green and red.
Oh my god, I love your pants. They're such a pretty shade of red.
Red. Girl, these are green.
Sometimes I forget I'm colorblind. Moving on, we have auditory sensation, which is the initial process of detecting sound waves by the ear. Frequency is our perception of pitch measured in hertz and is the number of cycles and times that air molecules expand and contract in 1 second. Amplitude is the height of each sound wave and how much air is expanding and compressing. Organisms use sound localization to discover the location of something that is producing sound waves based on aspects like intensity and timing. Related to this, we have deafness, which is when an organism experiences hearing loss. There are 2 main types of hearing loss that we need to discuss: conduction and sensorineural. Conduction hearing loss is middle ear deafness, which can be caused by diseases and infections. Hearing aids can help those with conduction hearing loss by amplifying sound waves. Sensorineural hearing loss is inner ear deafness and can be caused by disease in pregnancy, rubella, old age, and exposure to loud sounds. Electronic ear/cochlear implants can help those with sensorineural hearing loss.
Next, we have chemical senses, which include smell and taste. First is the smell, which is the olfactory sense. This is located above the roof of the mouth. Next is the gustation sense. This includes small bumps on the tongue and taste buds that help detect taste. Tastes include bitter, sweet, sour, salty, umami, and gusto. The number of taste receptors someone has can dictate how strong their sense of taste is. Super tasters are more sensitive to taste. Medium and non-tasters can't taste certain scents, such as bitterness.
Here, take this chocolate. Be careful, it's a little minty.
Okay. Ugh! Oh my god! That thing's strong! Sorry, I'm a super taster.
It's okay. I'm a medium taster.
If you've made it this far, this is our last slide, so I know you'll be happy to hear. So this is skin senses. So touch varies over the surface of the body. The tip of the tongue is the most sensitive part of the body. Warmth and cold are 2 separate senses and respond to different temperatures. Pain is a brain and body experience and it is necessary for survival. Phantom limb sensation is when there's a loss of sensory input secondary to amputation. Then there's body position and movement. Kinesthesis is the sense of position and movement of parts of the body. Receptors are used to detect body positions and movements. Then there's the vestibular sense, which is information about the body's position relative to space. Inner ear receptors are in the semicircular canals that sense the body's movement in space. Then there are the semicircular canals, which are connected and deal with the vestibular sense.
Oh my god, I'm so dizzy.
That's your vestibular sense. Check your semicircular canal.
Got it.
Oh, what? Your sense of position and movement of parts of the body is sick, bro.
Thanks. It's my kinesthesis.